Hey, if you've followed me for any amount of time, there's two things that I hit on just at least once a day, and then I just kind of move on. Um, it is where my passion lies. It is a very important, but that is domestic violence and narcissistic abuse. Now I know when I say that because it's just the easy place is people think instantly it's romantic, like a romantic relationship, but it's not always. Sorry, my nose itches. Um, we can meet narcissists anywhere in our life. We can be abused, obviously, by many people anywhere. I don't care if it's at your career, at your job. Could be a narcissistic boss. It could be, it could be the narcissistic friend that you made. It could be, of course, the romance side, a narcissistic boyfriend or girlfriend. But here's a big one. How about that narcissistic parent? You know, uh, I can speak on it because I have lived it all my life. I think one of the worst. I think one of the worst, and I can only say this because I'm a girl, but and I know it happens both ways, and I've seen it happen both ways. I've seen the effects that a narcissistic mother can have on a son. It's astronomical damage, but again, the narcissistic mother and daughter relationship, that's one of a whole different thing. You know, um, I have a narcissistic mother, and for so long, she had me convinced that she was a victim of abuse and mistreatment, and I'm not saying that she wasn't. You know, I know some of them, but I also know that she likes to manipulate and run those puppet strings. Um, I grew up in a very unsafe household. I did. I didn't have either parent. And what sucks now being grown, raising my kids are 36, 35, and 25. So being a parent for a very long time. Um and being an adult, we look at our parents differently, more as humans than we did when we were kids. But my narcissistic mother ruined any chance that I had with a relationship with my dad. She would instigate everything with him. Like, say, us kids were being bad. Well, she was not emotionally stable enough and could control her emotions, handle like a parent would, to discipline and correct a child and go on about their day. She would have ultimate meltdowns, screaming to the top of her lungs, just whatever. But her best move as a mother was wait till your dad gets home, okay? And so from a very, very young age, I learned to fear my dad. He was the disciplinary, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a firm talking to. It was very physical. And so anyway, I learned from very early on to to be as quiet, to hide, to go play, to do whatever, to be out of the way of when he got home. And that was literally my entire relationship with my dad, was avoiding my dad because until I watched him as a grandfather. Okay, and he was a very good, is a very good grandfather. So that's why I allowed any relationship whatsoever. But other than using him as the disciplinary, she would take me all the time. and still tries to do this to this day. Every time I'm around her, she is running down my dad, how he mistreats her, how, he is abused, he's mean, he's this, that. Growing up, and I'm talking about, I can remember back pieces of like 4 years old, she just had me in that car, making him out to be the meanest, cruelest, controlling monster that there was on this earth. So I feared my dad, and my mom. Now, I didn't realize she was manipulating us kids. She also plays us kids against each other. She even plays my kids against me, or tries to. That doesn't work. But it did, a little bit in their teenage years, because no kid wants to be told no, right? So go to Nana money bags. So I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to look at and know that you don't have. You never did. My whole life, I lived in survival mode. I was in what I would really think it was grave danger when I was probably 7 years old. And I took that news to my mom, and she said, we don't talk about that. So I learned very early on to shut down, even to her, that she was not going to be of any help to me whatsoever. And I revisited that conversation when I was 23. Only for her to yet again protect herself by saying, do not tell your dad, because he might retaliate and he'd go to jail. So here I was again. It's like she was putting, and you would think she was putting dad's safety or whatever ahead of mine. I mean, I was definitely not being taken care of. But what she was doing was putting her own comfortability and safety in front of everybody's, because you take out my dad as the sole provider, the one that took care of everything, but she also made him seem like he was so emotionally crazy and not in control of his, that he's that he couldn't be an adult and handle it. I don't know. My mind goes so wild on that. But yeah, still to this day, she will do her best to get me alienated somewhere and to try to run him down. And whenever me and him started trying to have some kind of a relationship about a year ago or two, it seemed like it kicked her into overdrive. And she did it until not but about 6 months ago. I shut it down and I said, no more. I don't want to hear it. If you're unhappy, get a divorce. Whatever. Now, she's not going to do that because she cannot take care of herself. But she did not like when I pull back and just tell her, you're not manipulating me no more. I can form my own opinions on people. And she's one that will play, she's got a big family and she has alienated half of them. She's got her golden child, and everybody is under that golden child. That's a golden grandchild. I just cannot, to the point of cutting some of them off if they dared, questioned her about it. She's always been a victim. She's always going to be a victim, but she will it depends on who she's up against, but she's always, that's the one thing I've seen, she was a victim of one child. She's a victim of another child. She's a victim of her husband. She's a victim of this person, that person. Everybody was mean. A victim from somebody at work. It was, she's always been the victim. She plays it well. It's worked for her all her life. But I'm tired. I can see it now, but it took learning and studying and diving deep into narcissism to see, what it was and the characteristics of it. So if you've got a narcissistic parent, set boundaries and limit your time with them. That's the biggest advice I can give you.